hundreds of grain varieties, a sampling of which you are experiencing today, from all over the world, going back thousands of years in history to ancient farmers cultivating these varieties. Now they're here in our valley, largely thanks to Chris. We're baking with them, we're tasting them, and I am super grateful for the work that's been done to get us here. Here in the Rogue Valley, to be growing this many varieties, to have some milling capacity here, to have an incredible group of bakers and chefs and restaurateurs who are using these varieties. There's not that many places that I've been. I've traveled all over the country to build ovens that have this kind of homegrown energy for this project of agriculture, which is culture as well. So I want to give Chris a few minutes to talk about the Rogue Valley Heritage Grain Project.
Thank you everybody for being here and for continuing to show up for our farmers who want to feed you the most climate appropriate seeds that we know of, because we have gathered these seeds from places far away as Syria, Iraq, Ethiopia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Armenia, Georgia, Russia, Eastern Europe, and we have been doing this over and over and over every year with no water inputs in our trials. And we get these seeds out to growers here in Southern Oregon and Northern California to help us expand access to these seeds. These seeds are not something that you go to the internet and buy, or call up some seed company in the Midwest and say, hi, we'd like 1,000 pounds of your whatever wheat because we want to grow a field of. And so I want everybody to understand that these seeds have a long history, a long lineage of culturally connectedness that makes sense not only to the people who saved and grew these seeds for so many generations. In some cases, like the Syrian Harani wheat over here is over 3,000 years old, spoken of in the Bible. We have these seeds because of collaborations and people who really care about the seeds. And so that is why we have these seeds here, because there are so many other people on this planet who care about those seeds that are getting gobbled up through big commodity agriculture, which are the hybridization, the intensive pesticides and fertilizers, and the tillage that we understand right now are the problem with all the things that we see happening on this planet right now, with our water quality and with our health and our standards for health on this planet. What we are doing is working with about 30 growers here in Southern Oregon to get these seeds into their hands to help us bring these seeds back so that other growers in this valley have access to these seeds. We have many of those growers here today, including the Fry Family Farm, who are a part of the Rogue Valley Heritage Grain Project, that have chipped in and put a shoulder in to make this event possible today. And without that, we'd not be able to be tasting and eating these things, to be growing them, to experience them, because they're that precious and rare. So I want to acknowledge all of our growers that are here today. Please hold up your hand and let everybody know here that you are one of the Rogue Valley Heritage Grain grower people. So we have a grower, or might know of a grower, and you can connect the grower. You own land and you know of a grower that would be interested in working with us on this project, on this community effort. Please put your contact information down here, and we will be in touch to let you know. We are asking from growers at least 15% of what they produce back to the project so that we can perpetuate this project. Again, I'm like looking at the growers that are here that I know, because just like a pound of this and a pound of that, it made what you guys see here today. And it's just so grateful. Thank you. gratitude to my grandfather who inspired me to do this work. A farmer back in Iowa who raised a large family and just cared so much for the earth. And yeah, he was they called him a conservationist. That's the language back then, conservationist. Well, at the end of the day, he was the leader of the pack for his people in Iowa to do the right thing for the soil. And he did so much to minimize the amount of what we know now are train trucks after train trucks of this precious topsoil that are creating the dead zones in the Gulf of Mexico and are polluting water quality across the world right now. And unfortunately, many of my family back in Iowa have to deal with atrazine in their wells. 50 million wells in the state of Iowa, where my family is from, are contaminated with atrazine, which is sprayed on wheat and barley and rye and oats, etc., etc. Name your grain or legume. Chickpeas and lentils, of which we have some of those that are now entering our project, are sprayed. Better than 80% of our food is sprayed with that. Just in generally speaking, I know a lot of people here eat organic. That's awesome, and it's good just to kind of make yourself aware of what you have options to with your family. Seeds into your hands. There's so much land in this valley and relationships that want to flourish. So thank you again all for being here. Appreciate it.
All right. Anyone in the Chef Baker world? At first, I'm going to introduce each of you. This is the second annual. Thank you all for coming. And the first annual last year was really fun. Hopefully, some of you were there. It was just a few of us in the kitchen that year, and I was one of them. And I am not a professional at all. And we produced a lot of bread, we produced quick breads and cookies and all kinds of things, and we tasted them and we used a bunch of varieties. And this year we wanted to get more of a collaborative spirit into the thing, and so we started calling chefs and saying, hey, are you willing to take some heirloom flour, some heirloom grains, some seeds from us and produce something.
And this was 3 weeks ago, by the way.
And we didn't give them much notice, and it was amazing. I had all of these 5 or 10 minute conversations where, calling people I've never spoken to before, and I'm just like, here's what we're doing, heirloom greens, and we got so many yeses, and they're here, and I love them for that, and I want to introduce you to them, so we're just going to start here. This is Lily and Jamie from Mixed Bake Shop in Ashland. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Jem, Isabella, and Chris, who I just finally met. Just thank you for putting this together, and it's super exciting. It's kind of a dream come true for us to have local flour. It's like something we've always thought would be amazing, and then when Jem called, we were just ecstatic, and actually talked to the Fries too. And found out they were trying to get the mill and all the things, so it's really exciting. About the flour and just the project in general and just what it's going to serve to the community. So for us, it's a huge deal. And Lily created all these beautiful things for us, so maybe she can speak a little about the process. Yeah, thankfully I'd worked with 2 of the flours before, so I knew applications that would work for them. But the sorghum and the 3 different wheats were really exciting, very different. I was able to use the same croissant recipe that we use at Mix, and so it was really fun to see the difference between what I normally work with into 3 very different kind of textures and profiles and flavors, which if you taste one, that you can tell the difference. And I don't know, it was really exciting to kind of find recipes that had a majority of a grain that I had never used before, like the peanut butter cookies that just adds such a different texture and flavor, and it's fun to go outside of the usual what's gonna sell at Mix and just find something that's okay, sorghum, find a recipe that's sorghum, and actually they seem to be really popular.
They're almost gone.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
They're really good. They're really amazing. Yeah. And it was just really, really fun to just kind of have that opportunity, and yeah, just the flavor of the red fife is something that I think we have like maybe a little bit of access to, and so kind of inspiring, like maybe we start incorporating that into a croissant that mix.
Woohoo!
And yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it is.
Yeah.
Hi, we're Rosie and Joe from Rise Up.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, and I did a lot of the mixing and Joe did the baking last night, and it was a blast. I mean, like, I never really allow myself to experiment, like take the time, so this was a great opportunity and it's so much fun. And yeah, they were just so different performing in all the breads. Really surprising. Like this banaka just looked like it was just gonna be a mess, and then it just whoop, came together at the end and made this gorgeous bread. The rouge we had so much fun with playing with more, but we have been using that from Fry Family Farms in 3 of our breads that we sell in the world already.
You
So
can
that
get the
was
Rouge de
good.
Bordeaux right here at the Fry Family Farm. Sorry.
Yeah, get some and bring it home.
And which of your breads is it in right now in stores?
We have a majority of it in the Rogue sourdough that we sell, and then also some in the Rustic Levan and the Little Applegate sourdough and the Sesame sourdough. So yeah, we made a croissant also with the turmoki and a bread with the turmoki, and that was a really wild, cool experience. Very different than the other two. Very golden and less strong, but really extensible and smooth. And yeah, do you want to say anything?
Just want to thank Chris. Where'd
He's
you
right
go?
here.
You're on camera, buddy.
And Jem and Isabella and Quentin for coordinating this event. They've facilitated an avenue, you know, and communication and networking, so that we don't grow, we don't mill, you know, we're dependent upon growers and millers and people who are cultivating seed. And so the people who are doing the networking and the cultivating and the growing and getting us together, it's just a huge help, and it's obviously a huge benefit to the whole community. So we are super grateful, and also to Fry Family Farm. I think the cool thing is to be an early adopter, like that. They were an early adopter, and they went big, and then they were able to provide a lot of flour for us over the last year. Rosie said we're buying like 240 pounds of whole wheat flour from them, the Rouge de Bordeaux, and that's a lot of flour, you know, and that's just the beginning. But we're able to do that now because of what they were willing to do and the risk, you know, that they were willing to take. So that's all just been really exciting, and we were lucky to be here last year and make that connection as a result of it, and we're super stoked to be here this year.
Yeah, thanks everybody for having us. I'm Alex Froome. We're starting a bakery in Klamath Falls called Tallgrass Kitchens, and we're not open yet. We're still baking at home. Thanks to Chris and Jem and everybody who's a part of this. We're really grateful to be a part of this community of, like you said, growers, eaters, bakers, millers, everybody, and we really need to know each other and be connected to have the kind of diverse food and agricultural system that we all really want and need. So thanks for having us so much. Malu, I think, can talk more about the things we made.
Well, Chris, we need to talk with you about bringing the heritage grains to the east side. We've got a good climate, I think, for that.
Awesome. Yes.
We were excited to try the turmoki, and I challenged myself to go 100% with both. So the rye is pretty easy to do 100%. Sangaste, is that how you say it?
Sangaste. From Estonia.
Yeah, it looked very different from the rye that I'm used to working with, but it tastes great. And then the Tramoki, I did sourdough, cinnamon rolls. A little unconventional. They were proved in the car on the way over and baked here. But yeah, it was fun. And
That's fresh bread.
Yeah.
I was impressed by how familiar that, or even like nicer that the Tramoki felt to work with. Just really easy to make. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
I'm a small scale sourdough baker in a little township called Williams, just over on the west of us. I made it here last year to see what's going on because Heritage Grains sounded pretty interesting as a baker, and Chris invited me in warmly and said let's keep going. So this year, Jem got hold of me and got me some grains and said focaccia. I said focaccia. He said focaccia. I'm like focaccia. Okay.
I was like, Isabella loves focaccia.
Whole wheat focaccia. Okay. Let's try this. So I had fun with it and just made up the recipe on the spot and just made it spontaneous and enjoyed making this. It's bridging the gap for a baker in a way to go from such a whole grain to from a white flour to a whole grain with something that should be kind of white, flumpy. So anyhow, I've had really good time with you guys, and I just can't wait to see this next year too. So, thank you.
And do our grain growers any nutritional anything? Can you sense any magic or energy from eating these?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys eat a lot of
You
wheat.
could look at it, smell it, it just smelled alive as opposed to a lot of the wheat flours you get that are just milled weeks and weeks ago and dead, you know, they go push through a roller mill and not the same. So these are magical for sure.
Yeah, I tasted the raw flour and was impressed by how much was there already. Because usually it's like the sourdough, you rely on the sourdough process to build up the flavor, but there was a lot there from the get-go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about what you're doing here.
Yeah, so we made a atole de amaranth.
Can we back up one step? This is Freddie and Manya.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Freddie Herrera. This is Manya Campos. I'm a restaurateur. I've worked in restaurants in Ashland. And so Manya as well. She's also a poet, artist. So, you know, it was great getting the phone call from you. I was so excited when you said, hey, we got these heirloom seeds. And he said, you know, beans, amaranth, and maize. I was like,
Yeah.
how the heck am I going to say no to that, right? So,
Yes.
it's been amazing to, you know, this whole process has been great. I mean, we were freaking out a little bit because 3 weeks, you know, we're like, wait, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this work? But it all, you know, came together beautifully. And she was so inspired. She even wrote some poems here today. But with the amaranth, we did, we puffed the amaranth, made it into a flour, then used it as the base of the atole, combined it with cinnamon, chocolate, and vanilla. And then thinned it out with a little bit of milk and water. And then Manya soaked the beans overnight and made a nopal salad to go with it, with aguacate, cotija cheese, and cilantro. And it's just been great to sort of reconnect to some of these ancestral foods that are so rich to, you know, our people and our land. So it inspired us, it inspired Manya so much that she wrote a poem, which I would love for her to share with you guys.
Thank you guys so much for being here. This is absolutely beautiful. I was raised by a hippie Mexican mother, and so my entire childhood was about eating the best quality ingredients in our traditional Mexican dishes. And so for me, I feel incredibly passionate about food and food justice, and people being able to have good food and good medicine. So I'm so incredibly honored that we're here. I felt so spiritually connected to these different ingredients, and it was an incredible process for me, a development of relationship. Beans I cook in my home every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We always have beans on the stove. To be able to connect with these beautiful Zuni beans that were actually given by Flor de Mayo, one of the 13 indigenous grandmothers, is so incredibly sacred and powerful. And then amaranth, I had an especially deep connection with the amaranth seed, and it's something that, you know, my people come, you know, from Mexico, and so I did all this research and I learned all this amazing stories, and then I got on the phone with my mother and she told me more stories, and so I had to create a poem. I was so inspired by these foods. So the Nahuatl word for amaranth is wotli, and it was a very, very important, next to maize, it was the most important ingredient that the Aztec Empire used. So this is my poem, Amaranth, Wotli. They call you a backyard superfood, but you are an ancient seed. You have been around for 8,000 years. You were placed into clay pots for warriors to drink. You made them strong and fierce. The Mexica built statues from you, poured honey into you, created wings in honor of Huitzilopochtli, the left-handed hummingbird god. They cut you up so everyone could have a piece of God inside of them. You were worshipped and planted in abundance, taken as sacrament, toasted or eaten whole, mixed with honey or maize, vanilla, canela, cardamomo, or chili. You are rich in protein, fiber, micronutrients, and antioxidants. You are full of essential acids and twice the iron as wheat. You have been known to reduce inflammation, support bone health, help lower cholesterol, and fight diabetes. In the 16th century, the Spanish outlawed you. They banned amaranth. Threatened by your medicine and the power of your seed, they banned you for the indigenous people and labeled you barbaric. But overcome with envy, they stole the seeds and grew you in secret for themselves. So this was an incredible, and both of these foods are just so incredibly rich and dense in different vitamins and nutrients, and it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to honor the history, honor, you know, the people that actually have their hands in the soil and are growing them, and to be able to celebrate this. So thank you so much for what you do and for being able to have us here.
You want to talk a little about what you did?
Sure, yeah. So I'm here representing a little milpa, mariposa milpa, that I started out of my folk medicine work as a curandera, and where I'm supporting the migrant community to grow local food, and so we grow maize, and then use that in cooking classes that we're doing with where migrant women and are featured as teachers of their traditional foods. And if anybody's interested, I'm going to grab a pen and people could just write your email on there and I'll put you on our list. And I just send out notices. It's very homespun. The classes are in my home, and it's really kind of like coming to a really sweet dinner party and making new friends, and reconnecting to ancestral ways, and remembering all of our roots and our interconnections. So yeah, I think that's essentially where I'm coming from. And it has been so sweet to connect with Chris, and Chris and I share like farm space at Eagle Mill Farm, and I just knew that I loved Chris because I adore and worship seeds and live for seeds, las semillas, all of, whether they're human or plant or any kind of seed, right? Just tending the seeds is such important medicine for us all. It's really what's gonna save us. So anyway, it was such a gift for and I want to mention that there's a mama, my comadre Sabina, who could not make it today because she was sick, and she was going to be making tortillas. She's a pro, and so I do recommend giving me your email, getting on my list, and coming in and learning with Sabina how to make tortillas.
Which are made with the traditional
The
method
yeah,
of
that's what I'm
nixtamal.
gonna, yeah.
As opposed to the chemical nixtamal that you can make masa with. This is natural with using wood ash. It's your
Well,
Why don't you
it's
talk
an
about Mickey
alkaline
Mouse?
solution. It's an alkaline solution, and so what you have to do with maize has a thick, skin, which is what makes it an awesome grain to grow, because it will last a long time. Really, compared to many grains, it lasts much longer because of that protective coating. But if you're going to eat large quantities, like Mexico, where I'm from, you need to process it, because if you eat too much without the processing, it actually will take nutrients out of the body. So you cook the maize in alkaline solution, and that can be lime, like in Mesoamerica it was lime from the limestones, and in like Native America up here it was often used wood ash.
Hi, I'm Boots. I'm out of Dunbar Farms in Medford. Well, in 2007, I walked away from food because I saw that the system was incredibly broken and did not want to participate. And I was really lucky during the pandemic to be part of a free community meal in Ashland, and 80% of that food came from food reclamation, and it completely changed my perspective on food and where it's coming from and how it can be used.
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, and in a roundabout way, I ended up at Dunbar in 2020? Yeah, 2021. And part of it is that they were growing heirloom flour on the property that I had access to all the time. And that was incredibly exciting to me, because that was one thing that I had missing in my passion for the food that I was making. And then also being able to pull a huge percentage of the produce that I was cooking from a garden right outside the back door. Unfortunately, that all kind of disappeared for a season, but we're really excited that the produce is coming back, and now having these grains available again is very exciting. And I'm just really glad that I could be here and participate today. I think this is a huge movement and a huge change for food around here. Thank you.
Yeah.